Welcome to the Goth and the Sloth. I am your Sloth, Matt.
And I'm Luna the Goth.
This is the podcast of two friends living a country apart, doing what we do and getting into trouble. We decided we'd take the first part of this podcast to discuss the COVID-19 pandemic, how it affects our lives, how it affects your lives, and, how it has officially destroyed everything I know and love.
I feel like there are a couple things left that it can destroy.
This is true. There's always something else it'll find.
hmm
So how you been?
Fine. Living through this year, so pandemic fine. Fine with an asterisk.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm ready to burn the entire everything down and
Yeah,
just
yeah, you should be.
destroy it all.
hmm
Which we may get into later. We'll see if we go down that path. But I'd say let's just jump into it. What's the greater Virginia area looking like?
So just consistently rising. So we have 138,702 cases, so we're up about 5,000 from last week. We have 10,769 hospitalizations, which is up about 230 from last week. And we are at 3,113 deaths, which is up 164 deaths from last week. So it's just like rising. And I feel like there was definitely a spike,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know that we've come down from that. Like, it's just the numbers are terrible, and I'm getting too used to saying, "Oh, we have 5,000 more cases. Oh, we have over 200 more people in the hospital. Oh, we
Yeah.
have over 100 more people have died this week." This is insane.
Yeah, it's not something we should get numb to, but unfortunately we almost have to. Or
Yeah,
it's just gonna happen because it keeps happening.
it just keeps happening, and we're chronicling it, and it's nuts that it's been this high for this long, and this many people have died. Like, and I'm only talking about Virginia, so
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
we're over 200,000 deaths in this country. Like, it's
Yeah.
just insane. The We still have 8 cases of multisystem inflammatory syndrome in children. I don't know if they're even still tracking it, because it is strange to me that we have so many cases going up, so many hospitalizations, so many deaths, and that number isn't changing whilst kids are back in school. So I'm just interested. Of course, we have to take everything with a grain of salt because it's the CDC, so
Yeah, exactly.
we can trust nothing.
Trust nobody.
Yeah, exactly. Um, as far as national news, I mean, I don't really have anything to say. You hinted at it just now. Like, I don't have anything to really talk about other than a grand jury in Kentucky has indicted one of the 3 police officers involved in the killing of Breonna Taylor. To be clear, no one was charged with with the crime that resulted in her death. Um, so, an innocent black woman who was shot by white police officers, and apparently that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The officer who was charged with wanton endangerment for shooting through the walls of Taylor's neighbors, which they could have been severely wounded or killed. Those neighbors were white. So I guess putting white people in danger and putting holes in their walls is more important, or worth, um, I guess, disciplinary action than Breonna Taylor's life.
Mm-hmm.
So I got nothing. I have no spoons today. A good friend of mine earlier said that um we're not surprised and we're devastated, and that's just what it is.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. There's not much to say about it, except the system has once again failed a lot of people.
I mean, the system doesn't work for people, for
Yes.
a big chunk of the United States. The system, we worked within the system to try to change the system, and the system was like, nah.
Yeah.
And so I, I mean, it's easy to sit here and say, well, we need to work without outside of the system, but that's not easy. That's a ton of people going to jail and getting their voting rights stripped from them and being told that they're, enemies of the state, essentially. And then when someone comes in and kills those protesters, that person is a patriot. So I just, I mean, I guess I'll just continue calling on white people that haven't been in the fight before and just say, hey, we're used to this.
Yep.
Doesn't make it easier. Um, but this is how it actually works, and this is how it feels when you fight and you lose.
Mm-hmm.
So now what are you going to do about it?
Yeah. And you can say the same about all the people being super down about Ruth Gator Ginsburg dying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Yeah, we got to keep going. You can't just be like, well, we lost everything. That's it. Because that's
Yeah, I
not
mean,
it.
that's a whole other nightmare because he has the votes.
Yeah.
So when we're recording this on a Thursday, he's going to announce his nomination on Saturday. He has enough votes to confirm them. So, no, there's not really anything we can do right now, but we do have to figure out what we're going to do after.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, how's Colorado doing?
Well, let's pile on because not great.
Really?
Yeah, so we're at 67,217 cases, which is up 4,000 week to week, which is our
Whoa.
highest week to week increase since we did our pandemics past and present.
Holy cow. That is quite the spike for you
Yeah,
guys.
we jumped up because last week to week, it was 2,000, so we've more than doubled our cases week to week.
Jeez.
We have 7,454 hospitalizations, which is up 107. So that's about average every week, another 100 people in the hospital. And 1,935 deaths, which is up 22 week to week. So another 22 people died. It's low, but that's still 22 people.
It's still 22 people, and that spike in cases does not bode well for future weeks.
Exactly. We'll see if that filters down to more hospitalizations next week. So keep an eye out for that. If you want a little bit of Schadenfreude news,
I'm listening.
the Missouri governor, Mr. Let me get his name because I feel like we need to say his name. Michael Parson, who refused a statewide mandate, has now tested positive, or he refused a statewide mask mandate. He has now tested positive for COVID-19.
Oh my god.
So, and he looks like a very old gentleman in these pictures.
Well,
So,
it's so frustrating that people are like, oh, even if it's like politically or economically motivated, they're like denying, and then they get it, and it's like, how many people are you infecting? Now you're gonna suffer. Now your family's gonna suffer. Like, you don't care about anything but yourself. Like, it's just gross.
it is. And
Yeah.
to add on to some more bad news too, CU Boulder has officially announced that over 1,200 people have been infected in an outbreak on
Holy cow.
campus. Yep.
Jesus Christ. I mean, campus environment, I'm not surprised, but still, like, it's preventable, people.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's probably part of our big increase
Yeah, that makes
is
sense.
Boulder. So
Dang.
yeah. And then one more thing that kind of
Mm-hmm.
broke my brain. I was already teetering on the edge, and then I saw this going around. I don't know who it was exactly, but
Mm-hmm.
a senator introduced a new bill that women need some sort of pelvic exam before entering into sports, something like that. I didn't read too
Yeah,
much
it's
into
for
it.
high school sports that there was going to need to be some sort of genital observation exam to make sure that they were, that they have a vagina, I guess. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's disgust. I mean, it's all the obvious things. It's
Yeah.
disgusting. It's violating. Uh, uh, it is just beyond the scope of everything that the right wing people have been trying to do in such a public way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there have been things further right, but like in this is pretty big.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people saw this. So, I mean, vote these fuckers out.
Yeah.
Like we
And what
gotta
blows
get
me
rid
away
of them.
too, what blows me away
Huh?
is, yes, it is disgusting. Yes, it is sexist. Yes, like all those, I absolutely agree. On top of everything, we are in a pandemic. Is this what your mind goes to? Like, that's all you care about is making sure women have vaginas to play sports? When 200,000 people have died,
Right.
you can't raise a
Yeah.
bill to go like, hey, maybe we put a cap on rent for a couple months. That couldn't be your go-to. You had to go to, let's check vaginas.
Yeah, I mean, it's all of that. It's if I mean, if the federal government was moving as quickly on COVID relief and with as much fervor um, as they are going after the Supreme Court situation, the election, funding for campaigns, like if all of that energy was put towards this giant global pandemic that affects billions of people, then I feel like we might have been a little better off, but we're not. That's not our world.
Yeah.
Um, we have people that are using this. I mean, there are QAnon people, like more of them getting support from the GOP. Like, it's just, oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's,
Yeah, that was like the straw that broke my back this week. It was like everything, and then like everything was wrong about that whole thing. Like, there's not one possible like positive you can see out of that bill at all. And I didn't even look into the real bill, but overall, it's just like the whole thing. Like, there's nothing about that you should have brought up. This is horrible timing for this. The everything,
yeah,
everything.
yes.
So what's going on in Luna's world? Anything new happening?
Nope.
No.
Still working. I can barely think straight because everything is awful. Um, I don't know. Like, what's new this week? More horrific things have happened. Uh, the president is saying wild things. Like, it's just, it's hard to think of what my week was like because all I can think of is like this larger scope. But I mean, as far as me, like, I'm still working on finding a surgeon that acts right to do my surgery. So I don't know. That's it. Teaching, trying to survive. What about you?
Uh, roughly about the same.
Yeah.
I added some
Band
extra.
stuff?
Yeah, I started working on some more solo stuff. Nothing hard put down yet, but some interesting stuff. Trying to figure out how I want to release it too, even though that's down the line. But like, do I make a new fake band, or do I release it just under my name? It's a lot of questions.
Yeah, it's a good question.
And I added some extra workouts to my diet that seem to have been working out. So that's been good.
Yeah.
And kind of helps lean into, I think, what we're going to talk about this week.
Cool.
So what are we talking about this week?
So today we are going to bring you another episode of wholesome content. So, this time, at least, we have a theme of escapism. Basically, the world is shit.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is terrifying. If it's not terrifying to you, I don't know that I agree with you on much ideologically. But that's okay. If you're doing well and you're thriving right now, good for you. Just don't hurt anyone else in the process. Um, but for many people I know, this is tough. It's really, really tough times.
Yeah.
So let's take another episode to dive into some nicer aspects of life that aren't focused on doom and death and dying.
Right.
Um, so, along the themes of escapism, sometimes for some people, when things get really difficult, we have to dig deeper into the facts of the situations around us to feel better. And sometimes we need to get some good old escapism,
Yep.
forget everything for a while. Um, in our distraction section of our podcast, we've spent a lot of time leaning into escaping into media, but that isn't the only way to forget about things for a while. For my little section of wholesome content, I want to talk about using our surroundings to escape, even if just for a few minutes.
Okay.
Um, so if you're cool with that, Matt,
Yeah.
I can dive in.
Go for it.
Cool. So now that the weather is dipping into the best range of temperatures, in my opinion, I have been craving more and more time outside. And that can be challenging right now because safety might be an issue in a crumbling society, depending on what you look like. Um, Literally, what you look
Yeah.
like. It isn't even who you are.
Yep.
Anyway, wholesome content.
Also,
Wholesome content.
we're gonna be bright and cheery. Come on.
um, but if you feel that you can take a little or a big adventure outside, I highly encourage it. Whether it's a small excursion outside in your neighborhood or a full on hike, it's a nice way to get out of the house. But you could do these things inside the house too.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, for escapism, though, uh, I, at least for me, walking outside doesn't necessarily mean that I'm escaping from reality because all of my 1 billion thoughts seem to have more room to buzz around and get loud
Yeah.
with like every step I take. It seems that I'm just like, oh my God. Um, but here are 3 things that I do to embrace the escape when I'm outside on a walk or a hike. And even visualizing these 3 things can sometimes help my anxiety if I can't quite get outside. So I thought I'd share it with my favorite group of listeners.
Yay.
Yay. All right, so number 1 is look for the tiny. So, regardless of all of the awful thoughts in my head, I like to take a moment to step off of the path, which usually happens right around when my heart rate is like, what the fuck are you doing? Go lay down.
Okay.
Um, and then I look down and I sort of widen my view or my gaze to see if I can pick up any movement on the ground. And then I follow that movement with my eyes and just observe the tiny critters that hang out underfoot. I like to look at like their colors and shapes and their homes and think of the world from their perspective. It doesn't have social media in their world, so
Mm-mm.
that seems nice.
Yeah.
Usually it's like an ant or something, but sometimes it's something else. This weekend I took a small walk on a trail and found a little baby caterpillar
Aw.
and just sat there and watched it wiggle its way from one side of the path to the other. Um, and I just didn't think about anything else other than this little floofy living creature wiggling its way over yonder, and I was just watching where it was going and how it was moving, and that was it. Um, Number 2 is look up. So while I'm walking or while I'm stopped, either one,
Mm-hmm.
I like to just look up and not straight up because that's uncomfortable and will hurt your neck and is also probably bright. Don't do
Yeah.
that. Um, but I lift my gaze to the branches of the trees overhead, or if you're in the plains, maybe just looking over at the horizon, just above the horizon, or whatever's in the distance. And if I'm moving, I like to watch how my perspective changes of the branches as I move so that different things are in view from different positions on the path. And I like thinking about that. If I'm standing still, I like to watch the movement of the leaves, see if I can find a pattern, like which way the wind is coming, or what animals are moving branches, or see if it's all just some sort of like limited chaos overhead. And I like watching the sunlight shift between the leaves and the branches and how it creates shadows around you that are always moving. Um, and right about here is where I forget that things like Facebook exists. And suddenly I'm just like, just a bit happier. Again, on the plains, you may not see all of that because there aren't a lot of trees overhead, but you can watch the wind move through grasses.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do that when I was out there. I used to watch how the grasses move and see if I can spot where an animal is moving the grass, or if you're in a neighborhood, maybe hang out by a single tree and see what's up with that tree.
Yeah.
Hang out with a tree. Just be like, yo, I like your colors. Your branches are pretty cool. I wonder why you have more on this side than that side. And like why you grew the way you did.
Yeah.
And granted, it might look weird if someone drives by and they just watch you hanging out with a tree, but it's fucking 2020 and they can fuck right off. And then my last one, number 3, is just to listen. So the third part of my little escapism exercise is to stop what I'm doing. Well, not necessarily stop what I'm doing, just at any point in the hike, usually well into it, I just listen to what I'm hearing. And usually the loudest thing I hear is my breath and my heart rate. Because it's, again, like, what the fuck are you doing? And I can get lost in that too, but it gets more interesting when I kind of stop paying attention to those sounds and I listen to everything else around me. And like, what exactly are the sounds that I'm hearing and where are they coming from? And do I know that there's water nearby? Can I hear it? Do I hear it more on this part of the path than the other path? Which direction is it in? Are there animals that I'm hearing? Or is it eerily quiet because it's the apocalypse and zombies are coming? I don't know. If you're in a populated area, you might hear cars and people, but if you try to cancel those sounds out, what can you hear? And I like to play this game with myself where I try to identify things that I'm hearing that aren't the obvious things that I first heard when I started listening. So yeah, those are my 3 steps, and essentially it's an exercise in mindfulness, and it helps me forget that the world exists outside of my immediate surroundings, and that helps me feel better. So I thought I'd share, just in case it helps anyone else too.
Yeah, no, it's really cool.
So there.
And it's kind of apt because just today my Fitbit app added a mindfulness tracker to it. And you can, put how much time you want to spend every day, and you can do like a little meditation or, just kind of track some quiet time.
Okay, Fitbit. Coming in hot on my little escapism list. Don't appreciate it. No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome. I'm glad.
So I thought I'd talk about something I think we forget a lot about in America, and that is, why is escapism important? Because it's a lot of times, even I get criticized, and I've seen people criticize other people if you don't watch the news 24/7. You're like, well, you're ill-informed, and you just want to forget everything and focus on yourself, and that kind of thing, where you just you have to watch the news all the time.
No, that's not healthy.
It's not. Not to get too far into the news thing, but news stopped being an unbiased source of information once cable came along. So you're not actually...
John Oliver has a great episode about it.
Yeah, you're not actually getting real news. You're getting something that's going to get you to come back and keep watching because they need eyeballs.
Ooh, side note. Watch The Social Dilemma, and then we'll all smash our phones together. Okay, that's it.
Well, and see, that's one thing. So most of this comes from either Psychology Today or The Moody Chick. which is a,
Okay.
health and wellness blog, and of course, Psychology Today is Psychology Today. So, Psychology Today says escapism has gotten a bad rap as of late. The information age has played a large role in that by supercharging the id with nearly every type of digital vice imaginable.
Mm.
So yeah, we're
Mm-hmm.
always plugged in. We're always thinking, and we never disappear from that. We never get away from that. But they also say it's not all bad stuff because online, they talk a lot about online video games and actually how that's a great thing.
Hmm.
It can help you, obviously relieve stress. You can interact with people. You can forget the world for a minute. And they're
Mm-hmm.
most of them are, very interactive. So you're not taking a moment to look at your phone. You're in the game.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
say out of the 160 million American adults that play video games, only 0.3 to maybe 1% are qualified for a gaming disorder, meaning like they're fully addicted to gaming.
Right, right. So, are you saying that my insurance might pay for my PS5?
Ooh, that would be interesting. Yeah.
I wish.
And the Moody Chick says everyone's escape is probably a little bit different, and it depends on what they are escaping from. But escapism is a vital way to relieve stress in a variety of situations. And yeah, I've known people that do watch the news 24/7, and they seem like just like a tight wound ball that's about to snap at any minute. And even
Mm-hmm.
people that think they're getting away from it, I'm going to call out my mom if she listens to this.
Oh no. Sorry, Matt's mom.
But she's like, "Oh, I'm tired of watching the news. Can we just put on a movie or something?" So I put on a movie, and then she pulls out her phone and just keeps scrolling through Facebook, anyways.
Oh
And it's like,
no.
no, you got to also get rid of that too, because that's just inundating you with the same information and more stuff. You just have to step away completely.
Everybody watch The Social Dilemma
Yes.
on Netflix.
So, yeah, so what I do, I have a few different things that I use very regularly for escapism. Every day I take a
Mhm.
40-minute walk around my neighborhood, and the only reason I even have my phone is just for music, and it's in my backpack. I can't get to it at any point without fully stopping my groove. So, so,
Now I'm just picturing you like strutting on your walk.
well, like today, I look all menacing and metal as I normally do, and totally rocking Katy Perry on the headphones today. So,
No, that's not surprising at all to me. Of course, you were listening to Katy Perry.
only the first album. Then she got real bad after that. Just gonna throw that out there. But but anyway, so that's one thing I do. Having hobbies that don't involve your phone, don't involve watching TV, like doing a puzzle, like I did that Lego set 100 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Even
I still have mine.
yeah, that's gonna be awesome when you get that done.
Oh my God, it is. At this point, I'm saving it for a recovery
Yeah, that's perfect.
because I will be able to like pull my table over myself and I won't have to sit up. And I can, I'll just need like a little spray bottle to get the cat away from me.
So yeah, like something that just gets you away from everything for just a moment. Because if anything, as most of these articles are saying, it actually helps you process the news too, and makes you filter out some of the emotional stuff that the news throws into it, and makes you really think how you feel about it, not how the news is telling you to feel about it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
It's like when you need to step away and think about something before you make a decision. You need to make a decision
Mm-hmm.
about how you feel about everyday news.
Mm-hmm. And that does go better with some critical thought
Yeah,
that takes
yeah,
time.
absolutely.
So,
So yeah, that's my like. Even yesterday, I was doing music stuff, and I
hmm
rewrote a fairly politically charged song. But even that being plugged into that was still not getting Facebook ads. It wasn't getting...
No, that's not input, that's
Yeah,
output.
exactly. It was me processing everything that I kind of
Yeah,
absorbed.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah, I definitely agree with the having hobbies that don't involve having your phone in front of you all the
mhm,
time. Um, I mean, I think music is great. Even if you write music on like a DAW, it's it's not it's not like your phone is right in front of you and you're stopping every time you get a notification. If that is happening, then you're probably not writing music. You're just scrolling on Facebook with your DAW
yep.
open. So, sorry to call you out, bro. Not you, just somebody. um, but yeah, like I think that having something, I mean, dance is my
Mhm.
thing, aerial and stuff like that, and there's no way to scroll while I'm
Are you sure? I swore I saw you checking your phone during a performance all the way at the top of the top of the laurel.
that would be so dangerous. So don't tell my Apple Care. But yeah, like I think you're right. I think having or at least dedicating some time where
Mhm.
you're not going to have your phone with
Yeah.
you, like your
Yeah.
walk. Even though you have your phone with you, it's put away.
Yep.
Can't touch it.
Yep. Not getting notifications. Not like it's just, it's ballast.
Yeah, and I think that this is like my own little soapbox
Yeah.
now
Go
that
for it.
doesn't really have a whole lot to do with this, but but I do know like a lot of people that are like, "Oh, but I have to have my phone with me in case I don't like this song and I'll skip it." And my answer to that is listen to the whole fucking
Mhm.
album.
Well,
Okay, that was my little
well,
baby
and
shit.
bare minimum too. If you get good over the ears headphones, if they're Bluetooth, they always got a button that you can press that skips the song. You don't have to pull it out.
That's true for all you rich fancy people. You can have a fancy Bluetooth over the ear headphone set with a fancy button on it, apparently.
But yes, I always say, but I never skip a song. Actually, I always do listen to albums all the way through. I'm with you
Yeah,
100%
same.
there.
Yeah, I just think a lot of I mean, frankly, there's no wrong answer. If you like skipping around, that's
Yeah.
fine. It's just if you're going to commit to not using your phone, commit
Yeah.
to it and say, I'm going to listen to this playlist, and if it plays a song I'm not particularly into, it'll be over in 3 to 5
Yep.
minutes.
So yeah, the Fitbit said you should have 5 mindfulness sessions, whatever that means. I have to look at more data on that. But that's the equal amount that they suggest for workouts too, and I think
Hmm.
that's says something of
Oh, yeah,
like you have to
absolutely.
relax and rest as much as you work out, and
Yeah, we should definitely prioritize it
mm-hmm,
more. I definitely agree with that. And I mean, I don't know Fitbit's intentions or whatever because it's all part of the giant machine that tries to keep us tied to
yeah,
technology. But I do think that, like, there is something to be said for, like, workouts that work for you and not, like, punishing workouts
yeah,
because you're trying to punish yourself for doing something wrong, like living your life. So it's like finding that healthy relationship with workouts and finding that healthy relationship with mindfulness. And I mean, that also kind of lends to therapy because if you're afraid to spend time with yourself, that's a sign.
yeah. So, what do you think the difference is between escapism and avoidance is? Because I think that's something people get confused a lot.
Oh man, to me, I mean, it's in the word. Es- There's one where you're escaping because you need to step away, but you'll come back to it. And avoidance is avoiding it so that you don't have to engage with it whatsoever. Um,
Yeah,
I don't
no, that's pretty.
know. That just seems pretty
Yeah,
obvious to me.
it's something I think people forget, or they point out that like you're avoiding things if you're not constantly dealing with things head on, and it's important and
Oh, I
it's
see.
important to know the difference. Escapism relates to self-help, self-care, and coping. This is all according to the Moody Chick. That's like that name for a website. It's allowing yourselves to disengage from your problem briefly in order to re-energize, have a break, and prevent emotional exhaustion. Avoidance is ignoring the problem. Escapism doesn't do that. Escapism is momentarily. It's
Yeah.
momentary. So yeah, we're not telling everyone to ignore the world and just live your life, because there's important things that you need to be in the know of, and
Mm-hmm.
but you can't spend 24/7 banging your head against the wall against every terrible thing that comes down down the pipe in 2020.
Exactly. You have to step away at some point. I mean, this is the long game.
Yeah.
We have to make it through all of this. So, yeah,
So yeah.
cool. That was really
Yeah,
cool.
no, that was a nice little discussion on escapism, which I think, unless you got anything else to say, I
Mm-mm.
think that leads us right into our next section, which is our distractions. What are we distracting ourselves with or
Yay.
escaping the world with right now?
For me, this past week, it's been more horror movies.
Ooh,
So, just gearing up for more horror and spooky season.
yay.
Um, so recently I watched Spiral, Rabbit, Triangle, apparently a lot of one-word movies. I enjoyed all of them. And I also watched a friend's new movie called A Feral World. It was written, produced, and filmed by David Liban, who's the chair of the film and TV department at the College of Arts and Media at CU Denver.
Okay.
His son stars in the film, which is super cool. The director of photography is another film faculty member, Jessica McGaw. Um, the composer is Leslie Gaston Bird, who was once the chair of the music and entertainment industry studies at CU Denver. So it's a it's a cool little project that they've all worked on apparently, and I watched it and I thought it was cool, and it's like sci-fi, post-apocalyptic, kind of timely, um,
Nice.
and yeah, I recommend everyone give them some support. It's called A Feral World, and they just released it. So
Can you get it on like Amazon, or where is it?
I got it on iTunes because I have an Apple
Okay.
TV, so I just pre-ordered it there. But I imagine it's on all of the things
Perfect.
like Amazon and such. I can't imagine that it would not be on those. But
All right.
yeah,
I got a question about Spiral real quick. That's
yeah.
not
What's
the
up?
Spiral with Chris Rock that's the sequel to Saw. It's a different Spiral, yes? Okay.
No,
I'm looking forward to that Spiral, and I saw stuff about this. I'm like, did it come out and no one tell me these things?
no, no, no.
Okay.
I will be watching that, but I have zero expectations. This Spiral is on Shudder, and it's a really cool story that involves like existential angst for minorities and queer folk
Okay.
in this like neighborhood where there's like a cult happening, and it's pretty cool. I really enjoyed the way they wrote the characters, like genuinely. Like I'm excited for what these people and those actors will be doing.
Well, very
So,
cool.
yeah. No stupid clowns. Or puppets or whatever the fuck he is. Anyway,
Talking,
go
you
ahead, Matt.
bashing on,
What are you
you
distracting me
bashing
from?
on Billy?
Great. He
He has
has
a
a
name,
stupid name.
and I believe he's a marionette.
Oh, fancy puppet. French puppet.
So, yeah, I watched some movies. I had a babysitter marathon. I think I discussed that last show. I don't know if not, but I watched both the Mick G babysitter movies in one night. That's the
McGee.
director, Mick
I like the way you
G.
said that.
Which you have to listen to. Uh, the rant from Christian Bale, like that got leaked
Uh-huh.
online. So Mick G was
Uh-huh.
directing that scene, and he goes, "Mick G," and it's the funniest.
Oh boy.
So apparently even people call him McG. Anywho's it. So one is definitely better than the second one. They're not. The second one I don't think is the worst thing in the world, but it's not the best. If you saw that one first, you would be very confused on why everyone likes the first movie.
Agreed. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I did find
Yeah,
myself
yeah.
highly enjoying the second or the first movie.
Yeah, the
When
first
kind of
movie's
stuff
great.
started kicking off, I was just rolling on the floor laughing. Like, it's so good. And
It's definitely an enjoyable film.
I also watched The Death of Superman, which is an animated movie, and it's very awesome, really well done. Um, Much better Death of Superman than in BVS, but I think literally anything is better than BVS. So there's that. I also started watching, kind of off and on, the new documentary on Netflix about Challenger. It's like a 4-part
Mm.
series.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so see where that goes. That's been a little rough.
I think we know how it
We
ends.
do, and I know I probably know everything they're gonna say, but I'm curious about. I've heard about this thing, and I don't know if it's true or not. So I'm curious because I wasn't mentally conscious at that point, and you probably weren't either to remember the Challenger explosion. But
Mm-mm.
everyone claims they remember seeing it, but I've seen multiple things saying it actually wasn't broadcast on regular TV, and it's become this mass like remembrance, this mass fake memory because they show
Hmm.
you've seen the footage, so you think you were there when you seen it, but it wasn't. According to a lot of people, it wasn't on regular TV. Like it wasn't like broadcast.
It's interesting. I wonder if it's just footage that they played over and over in the news
That it became like, oh,
that
I was there when
people,
it
yeah,
happened.
started remembering that they actually saw it live or something.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's interesting. So I'm curious if they get into that.
Unless they were in the area and literally watching it.
If you were in southern Florida, you definitely saw something
Which, I
at
mean,
least.
I grew up in Florida and a lot of people said I saw it, so I believe them.
Yeah,
But as far as like other people, I don't know.
it's interesting. Outside of that, I had a allergy attack on Monday, which made me worried because my allergies should know this isn't the year to fuck around with that kind of stuff. But I decided to have just a day where I was just stuffed up and coughing and sneezing and feeling drowsy, and I'm like, I'm gonna die. This is it. This is
That
I got the
sucks.
COVID.
Oh no.
But I never ran a fever, and I now feel totally fine one day later. So it's definitely just I got some extra pollen up my nose or
God
something.
damn allergies. Trying to kill people, give people fucking panic attacks.
So yeah, I think that brings us to our next part of the podcast. Only in a pandemic.
And major civil unrest.
So stories that can only happen in a pandemic and or major civil unrest. Do you have anything?
I do. Only in a pandemic and particularly major civil unrest does Trump say horrifyingly eugenic comments at a campaign rally, and that doesn't make the news.
Yeah, I did not hear about that.
So, to the crowd of largely white attendees, it is a Trump rally after all, in Minnesota, he said the quote, "You have good genes, you know that, right?" And then a lot of it is about the genes, isn't it? Don't you believe? The racehorse theory. You think we're so different? You have good genes in Minnesota. You can watch the video online, just look it up. He's talking about the racehorse theory
Mm-hmm.
where it's white supremacy. White
Yep.
genes are better. You can
Yep.
breed it into
When
better humans, quote unquote. Um,
which
so
any geneticist would actually tell you that mixing genes actually makes for
it is
stronger
actually better
genes.
for literally
Yes.
everyone. Yeah, I was like, say what? And it was the same night that RGB died.
Uh,
So just that was swallowing up the news cycle. The Supreme Court thing was swallowing up the news cycle, and it's like, hold on a second. He said what? So, yeah, still want to support this guy? Look
I
at
mean, at
to
this
yourself.
point, anyone that's still supporting him is not going to get dissuaded by anything, I don't think.
I mean, I hear you. Yeah, I mean, I think that there are a bunch of moderates that are, you know, imagining other options, and it's like, all right, I'm not gonna get into it here, but like, this is what we're up against. And if you're cool with that, then I guess you're cool with that.
Yep.
But yeah, so what's your only in a pandemic story? Hopefully less depressing.
Yes, I mean, maybe we'll see. So only in a pandemic will Tosh.0 make me tear up a little bit.
Oh God.
So it started the new season. I started watching it, and it's pretty much ran its point because they're not going to find viral videos that everyone hasn't already seen, and there's a reason why it's getting canceled this season. But I thought I'd check it out, and apparently between seasons, one of his dogs died, and he spent most of the episode doing a tribute to his dog.
Aww.
And other people's dogs as well. He had fans send in photos of their dogs that passed away.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It was a really sweet moment.
Oh, good job, Tosh.
I won't hear you say that much, but
I don't say that much. But you I don't know. That's like wholesome sadness rather than depressing, fucking end of the world sadness. So yay!
Yeah, it is. Yay. So, I think we can go ahead and wrap this guy up with our hermit level. So, on the Leonardo DiCaprio scale of being a hermit, a 10 being, let's go with this week, the man in the iron mask. You've been in a jail cell completely separated from everyone for many years. Or are you 1, you're Jack on the Titanic dancing around on the lower decks with all the people, giving high fives and banging random rich broads.
People?
Yeah, touching people. Where you at this week?
So this week I am still a 9. Honestly, the longer this goes, the more I genuinely have a hard time imagining a world where I hang out with humans again. Like, I am perfectly fine not doing that.
Not seeing humans anymore.
And I don't want to. And honestly, as we've been doing this podcast, I mean, this is episode 26. So I've heard you do the DiCaprio scale 26 times. And at the beginning, I was like, man, that 10 sounds really excessive. And now I'm like, that 10 sounds really ideal.
Right? Without an iron mask on your face, I would hope.
I mean, no, I don't want an iron mask on. That sounds heavy.
Yeah.
But maybe just like an iron apartment or something? I don't know. But it just, it'll be interesting as this continues, like how it's more and more like, I don't even, the wolf on Wall Street, gross.
Right? Touching people,
being in the
a
same
crowd.
room as other people. Ooh.
Yeah, I remember getting sweated on by other people at shows.
Ew. I mean, I always hated that, but now I really hate that idea. Where are you at on the Leonardo
Let's
scale?
say it's probably a 7. I did see my parents this weekend and the puppy.
And a puppy.
But the band were switching days that we're practicing, so there's kind of like a transitional period where we actually didn't practice because the way it lined up and everything. So didn't see the band for a bit. But this upcoming week, this Saturday is actually going to be kind of busy. I'm going to the comic shop, going to go see my brother, and then I'm going to go see Fiona, our friend.
Yeah.
And jump on the trampoline.
Yay.
And then band practice on Sunday. So I'm going to have a busy weekend of people.
You're going to be a little social butterfly.
Yeah. And then I'm going to have virtual Oktoberfest tomorrow. So that'll be
fun. Oh, man. I don't think that would go well for me if I just sat here and drank beer.
It's okay if you wear a dirndl while you're doing it. That's
I mean, everything's okay if I wear my dirndl.
So yeah, I got a couple friends. We're just gonna we're not gonna FaceTime the whole thing, but I think we're gonna meet up at some point and do a proast, and maybe I'll put on Beer Fest and watch that movie. No, what's funny is I was looking for like what movies I should watch, and I was looking up lists of like Oktoberfest mood movies and everything. No, it's on the top of almost every single list. It's
Ugh.
Fear Fest.
Because no one has any self-respect anymore.
All that no one's out based a movie around Oktoberfest.
Yeah, that too. I would just watch German horror. What are you doing?
That could be good.
Duh. Fine, you do your little whatever. We're gonna have Gothtoberfest in October, and we're gonna watch some fucking fucked up horror movies like Tanzt, which is Nothing Bad Can Happen, which is fucking awesome and depressing.
That sounds awesome. I'm down for that as well.
But no, for real, enjoy your Oktoberfest. That sounds like a good way to enjoy the end of September and what should be Oktoberfest time.
Yeah. Which, yeah, that's also my escapism. I forgot to mention, too, is every Friday I try and do something fun. Even
Oh,
if it's
that's
just
cool.
like a movie marathon or like something to look forward to at the end of the week. And
Yeah, that
this week
sounds right.
is Oktoberfest.
Very nice.
Just drinking at home in my in my German hat, and maybe my lederhosen. We'll see.
Ugh, so leather.
They're so heavy. Yeah. All right, I
Oh,
think
very
that'll
cool.
wrap it up. So where can people find us if they want to tell you what they saw on their walk, if they saw any little bugs or anything?
I heard tell you what they saw on their WAP. I was
Uh,
like, I didn't know this was that kind of show. All right, guys, if you want to tell me what you saw on your walk or your WAP, you can find me at Instagram, uh, at LUNA_MINUIT. You can also find me at Twitter, at the same on Twitter, and you can find us at Goth and Sloth on Instagram, Twitter, and you can send us an email at Gmail. What about you? What's all
absolutely.
your things?
So you can get me on Facebook, or sorry, on the the Twitters. Gotta get my brain right. Matt underscore, or sorry, wizard underscore Matt. Wow, I'm not even drinking tonight
You
either.
can't find Matt, is what he's saying.
Yeah, you
Don't
can't get
find.
me. All right, so I am wizard underscore Matt on Twitter or wizard cosplay on the Instagrams. My band is Leonardo Leonardo. We are Leonardo Leonardo Band on Facebook and SoundCloud. And my YouTube channel is Matt the Pharaoh Wizard. There we
You
go.
did
Got to get that
it!
rhythm. Once you get that rhythm going.
Awesome. Well, please wash your hands, guys.
And wear a mask.